Hello guys, welcome to my channel Praveen. Today in this video I wanted to compare two examinations which are Ielts and OET. Both of these examinations I have written them before. I'll present you my scorecard and I had some satisfactory score. So I will also share my experience and also would let you know what are these examinations for, how to apply, how to write them, what sources did I use and what sources are the best and what examination is required for what field you are in. So let's get into the video first. So let's start with Ielts first. Ielts is nothing but international English language testing system. So this is an exam introduced in 1990s, I suppose, to test English for the candidates to know and assess their knowledge in the language. So this examination has different types in them. One is academic Ielts, one is general Ielts, one is UKVI Ielts. So why these many Ielts and how do we know which one to write? Coming to the students who want to go for masters, usually what they do is write academic Ielts, and each university requires them to have certain scores to get admission in their university. So, and there's general Ielts. General Ielts is usually preferred by the workers who want to migrate to work in certain company, and these companies are someone who are inviting the workers from India or some other country, and they want to test, yes, this guy can understand where he's going to live to obtain the visa. That's for general Ielts. And UKVI Ielts is for UK embassy. If someone wants to go to UK to work, is written by them. Does three examinations have different patterns? Usually UKVI Ielts and academic Ielts are almost have the same level of difficulty, whereas general Ielts also has a level of difficulty similar to them, but then usually lower than them. So general Ielts is a bit easier is what I heard, but I can't assure 100% that. Okay, coming to those are the types of Ielts we have, and coming to the fees of Ielts now is around 17,000 Indian rupees. That would be converted into this in dollars or different currencies wherever you are writing. And coming to how to apply, in India Ielts is conducted by IDP, so you can just go to their website, IDP Ielts. That's the official one, and you can check which type of Ielts you want to write. This computer-based Ielts, this paper-based Ielts. So what's the difference is computer-based Ielts is what I wrote. So you'll be going to a computer-based examination center there, and they'll be sitting in front of computer where you'll be having your reading part, writing part in it, and listening part. So it's basically you need to be fond of basic computer skills to type and click. And so one thing when I tell should I prefer paper-based Ielts or computer-based Ielts, if you're found with basic computer skills, I think computer-based Ielts is much easier, because in paper-based Ielts the results is a bit delayed. But then if you can, if your handwriting is good and you are comfortable with paper-based, then you can go with paper-based as well. It depends on you. There's no much difference for paper-based or computer-based examination. So that's for the type of examination centers or type of Ielts you can take. You can check that in the website of IDP Ielts, and then you can just click when you're ready, make the payment, and then your slot will be allotted. Coming to the what does Ielts examination consist of is this 4 categories. One is speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Now each module, the maximum score is 9, and the minimum score can be 2, 3, 4, 5, anything else. Depends on how you write the exam and how they mark it, or how you score depending on it. So let's talk about each individual module now and my experience of each individual module. Coming to speaking first, because I had speaking first, so I want to share how my speaking was. So on the examination day, to be honest, I wasn't that prepared for this exams. I just felt like it's another English exam, and I didn't do much research on it, so I just went to appear for it. And I'm talking something that was happened 3 years ago, so I don't know what's happening right now, but what I heard recently is the examination pattern is still similar, the still same. So I think it's still up to date of what I have written and what's going on right now. So on the speaking day, I went to the examination hall. They'll check your passport, I guess, and then your appointment time, and then allot you a room, and then you'll be having your examiner in the room. And mine was an Indian female, and she was friendly, she was good, and then they'll try to check your ID and then proceed with the speaking part. I mean, you'll get a bit nervous, obviously. I mean, we are going to a new place and that's examination first, so definitely the nerves will be there. But 1 to 2 minutes you'll get settled in, and moreover, I would tell you that just be relaxed. Imagine that you are going to meet a new friend and you're trying to express whatever you know to them, or learn, have a conversation with them basically. So just go with an idea that you're going to meet a new friend to have a conversation with them. So don't think you're going to write an exam, or you have to be prepared and speak a set of paragraphs and have them in mind before. Don't go with such mindset. Just go as you're relaxed, just meeting a new friend. That would really help, because that's what I did, and I feel like it would help you too while writing your exam. So after going, you'll be having a bit of introduction at the beginning, and then you'll be having some conversation about different topics. After that, they'll be giving you a topic, which is a cue card. Then there'll be a topic, and then I think, I don't remember the time, they'll give you some time to write on a paper if you want to remember stuff while speaking for 2 minutes. So then they'll put on the timer, then you'll be speaking about this topic for 2 minutes. And then according to that, they'll be grading it. So what are my suggestions for speaking? As I said, go with the mindset of speaking with friends, and also don't try to learn new vocabulary, and don't try to make sentences which you have prepared and you're trying to just repeat it in the exam. Just go with the flow, have a conversation, be relaxed, and I think that will do it. And most of us are from private schools with English spoken medium, so we would have a language base with us, so it's not that hard. So we should just not be nervous to let what we know forget it, because look at me, I'm not that fluent English speaker, but I was able to get 7. If some of you are studying in schools which are Cambridge affiliated or all those stuff, you'd be much more fond of language than I am. So I think that would do it with the speaking. So don't try to learn new vocabulary, just go with what you have. But that doesn't mean you just go there and stammer. No, you could think of forming a sentence, or you could think of what you are trying to speak of a topic, but that doesn't mean you can give a big pause like oh, just be like speaking and then be like yeah, so this that. Keep going, keep making the sentences and keep flowing the sentences, and you'll be done with speaking and it will be good. So that's with IELTS speaking. Now let's go to IELTS reading. I'm being honest with you, for IELTS reading part, I haven't researched much about it, because I was thinking basically maybe there'll be paragraphs and there'll be questions, and the questions will be asking you from the paragraphs like 10th grade or 9th grade English, so I felt like it would be easy. But then when I went there, reading was entirely different, and I really felt it was a bit difficult for me. So the main thing I would suggest when you are going to appear for reading is the time would be clicking, and the time would be ticking, and and you have to read the whole paragraphs and then answer them. It would be a bit tricky. There'll be 3 parts in reading. First 2 are a bit okay, but the third one would be very hard, because the paragraphs are too lengthy and the question they ask is not similar from the paragraph. I mean, there would be no sentence directly from the paragraph. It's like an indirect meaning. Then you would have to recognize what they're trying to ask and then answer it. So you have to be a bit alert and then be thinking at that moment to answer it correct, because it's hard, but it's not that hard to crack. You would get it if you just be there at the moment and try to get to know what they're trying to ask from that question. I think that would do with the reading. I mean, if you ask me honestly, I haven't prepared anything for the reading. I just went there, and that was the score. And coming to writing part. Now, before I went to the exam, writing, there was this website or a institute, something Leap Scholar online that time, because I was searching for IELTS writing, how to write or how to write an essay. I hadn't any idea of it, and the exam was so near and the time was approaching, and these guys were like, that time, I don't know if they have the same price right now, that time it was 150 rupees for 2 days, I guess, yes. And they just explained 1 hour class, what type of essays are there and how to write an essay. It's just a basic class of writing. I think for writing you should definitely watch some videos. I'll be putting them in the sources I used, so do watch out. So that's what the writing part. But then I felt like I wrote very good in writing, but then when I saw the score, it was 7. I was like, okay, yeah, because I was surprised a bit. I was expecting a bit more of what I have written, but then yeah. So that's with the writing for IELTS. And coming to this listening part, now listening in IELTS is where you can score a 9 easily or an 8 easily. Just go there, go with the mindset that you're going to write, listen with all your head and mind at the moment, and then answer them. Don't be thinking of anything else during those 40 or 50 minutes of listening. Just you be alert, keep your mind there, and then listening would be a cakewalk for you if you are someone who is watching so much of Netflix or English content. And I mean, you definitely be recognizing their sentences, because some of the times, you know, some of the English shows you watch, UK accent, Irish accent, if you are able to understand such a things, this is just basic American accent that will be speaking in IELTS, or basic English accent. It won't be like UK accent where you can't understand stuff. But then the major thing is you need to be alert, because the first 2 parts of listening are really easy. I won't say no to that. But then there's third section in listening, where 3 to 4 people will be having a conversation, and then you need to recognize what they are, what James said or what Anderson said or some other person said, and try to answer them. So it's a bit tricky there. Keep your mind alert. That's the only thing I could tell for listening, because listening is the easiest scoring. Now, coming to the sources I used for IELTS and the time I used for IELTS, I'm being honest with you, the time I used for IELTS is 2 days. It's not to boast myself or to brag about myself that I just used 2 days or something, but then I was just feeling in a way that okay, my English is not that bad. Maybe it's just another English testing examination. I'll just go there and just write it. So that was my mindset. So that's why I hadn't prepared anything much, or attended any coaching center, or taken some classes from somewhere else or something like that. So I just gave 2 days before the exam, and even those 2 days, maybe 3 hours each day. And those 3 hours too, I used to watch speaking videos. How does speaking start? How is it basically? I mean, what do they do? How the cue cards are? Speaking videos. And then Ieltsby Liz. I watched in forums that everybody was telling watch Ieltsby Liz, and that YouTube channel I would definitely recommend, because she gives a lot of sessions for all the sections of IELTS, and the videos are so short you can finish them in a very short time, but then also have much idea of examination. So Ieltsby Liz is highly recommended source. And then, as I said, for writing I used Leap Scholar 2-day class. That wasn't of much use, but then it gave me a basic idea of how a structure for essays, or how to start a pictogram, or how to start a pie chart or a bar graph, and how to frame sentences in writing. So it was a bit useful. I wouldn't say it wasn't useful at all, but then it was useful because I had no idea of writing. If I hadn't watched them, I could have just gone and written as if I'm writing a normal essay without the structure. And then coming to the speaking part, I haven't prepared or haven't spoken to relatives or friends or anyone. So basically I was just confident that yeah, I could go there and speak, because I felt like my English isn't that bad or isn't that best, but it's good to get some grade satisfactory. So with the speaking part, but I would say if you are a bit trembling with speaking, just try to speak with your relatives, with your friends, with your close ones. for 1 week at least and try to be fluent. Don't try to put ends in the conversation. Try to prolong the conversation and speak as if you're trying to convey a message, or you're trying to make a big essay or something. I mean, pick up a topic and just speak over it to your friend, brother, or relative, or anyone you find. So it would be, if you're doing 5 times of something, or 6th time would be like it's just normal to you, right? Just something you do it every time. So that's why I would recommend you try to speak with others. So that would help. So these are the things I followed and the sources I used for Ielts. So this is with the Ielts. I mean, I explained who need Ielts, where to apply Ielts, how much is Ielts, how much time I took for Ielts. Now coming to the scoring, there are different, the website of Ielts says how they mark the Ielts based on the questions and how many you get right and is equal to 9 or 8 or 7. You could check there, so you know how many you have marked and how much you're going to obtain the score. And for the computer delivered Ielts, usually 3 to 4 days you get your results. You could check in their website. And for those who have written Ielts and hadn't enough score, as maybe the required score is 7.5 for university, and then you had something of 6.5, I would say don't let yourselves down, because sometimes maybe much English than those who got 9 or 8, but then you are just not alert in the exam. That's the only thing that could go wrong. Or then you can try better again. Don't let yourself down. That's all I can say, because this is not end or something. I know it's a bit expensive to try again, and what if you try again and you don't score the desired result again? These are things that come to your head. The main thing you should tell yourself is, what I know is many people just pay agents and they write for them, but you are someone who have tried on your own to write. So there yourself, you have won the battle. The score is just that day of exam. I mean, the later what happens, we can't decide. Next time you just need to be alert, go and give your best, and then you definitely have your desired score. So that's all for the Ielts. Let's talk about OET now. Coming to OET, OET is usually for medical guys. I mean, those who are nurses and want to practice in English speaking countries, OET is needed. Those who are students and have written USMLE, medical students, and want to practice medicine USA, they need OET, because instead of step 2 CS, now OET is required to obtain ECFMG certification in USA. And also those who are going to write PLAB, you can choose Ielts or OET, so you can write OET instead of Ielts. For Australia, you can write OET, and also a fact that OET is for Australia is conducted by Australians. So coming to OET, I'll share my experience. Let's talk about speaking first. OET speaking, I felt a bit nervous because Ielts speaking was face to face. So I went there and had some idea of what I was going to do. Coming to OET, I had this confidence from Ielts that I didn't even check anything about OET. I just felt like it would just be a copy of Ielts. I'll just go, write it and then pass it or get required score for OET. But then I would say here what happened in speaking was, speaking in OET is different. When you apply for computer-based OET, they send you a Zoom link and it's online. So first you join the conversation, and that day, to my luck, my internet wasn't working so good, and then there were minor connection issues, and that was making me a bit nervous because this could result or damage my scores. That is why I was a bit scared while telling something to the examiner, and I was a bit scared that maybe I wasn't being fluent or anything. But then OET is easy for medical students because I wouldn't say it's easy, but compared to Ielts, if you are not a general English speaker but you can fluently speak all the medical terms and make a conversation with patients, then OET is for you. But if you feel like you can make any conversation in English also better than medical terms and all this stuff, then IELTS is for you. So which exam is for you for medical students is up to you. OET or IELTS, I would say the difficulty level I faced was almost same. Maybe OET was a bit higher difficulty for me in personal view, because IELTS I felt like was more of general English and stuff, but then this medical English was not of medical English. I would explain in the duration of this video what happened with OET. So once I was done with my speaking, at the beginning I thought speaking would be horrible, but then as the time was going on, I was able to get back myself, and then the speaking went smooth. It was basically the examiner would be patient and you would be doctor, and there would be a role play of patient and doctor, and then you'll be kind of investigating case or taking case history from her and asking the complaints, previous visit, chief complaints. And I mean, you don't just ask complaint, pain, and all that. Make sentences and prolong those sentences, put vocabulary in it, so it would be like English and you can form sentences, so she would know that you are perfect at it. So that's with OET speaking. Should I take any coaching for OET speaking? I don't think so. OET speaking, if you have been working in an English medical center and have taken case history before, then it would be a smooth speaking test for you, so don't worry about it. Coming to OET writing, the writing would be a referral of your patient to some specialist, and you need to write it as in a letter format. I checked various websites, everywhere the format was same, and on the examination day I wrote the same format, but then my score was on the edge of B, so I was a bit surprised that how else could I write. So I would tell you, try to do a bit more work on writing, because I did my best, but then I just had a basic score. So maybe you can try different resources, watch more videos and practice to write before you go into examination. And coming to listening of OET, listening wasn't as easy as IELTS, because OET's last section of listening was very hard for me, because I still remember the guys who were speaking had this British accent, and then they were speaking so quick, and then the time would be clicking, and the last section you need to be so fast. So that's why listening was a bit okay. I wouldn't say it's that hard compared to all the sections. Listening is always the scoring thing, but then it's a bit hard compared to the other three. And so that's with the listening. But if you're fond of UK accent and all the medical terms, pain, fracture, basic medical terms, you don't need some higher medical language terms too, so it would be okay. And then coming to the OET, the final reading part, I would say that was the most hardest I ever faced, because I had this adrenaline rush. I still remember I was sitting in front of the computer in examination, and then the time was like 3 to 2 minutes, and then I still had many questions to answer in the last section of reading, because the paragraphs are so long, and basically the questions they ask doesn't relate at all with the paragraphs. So you need to be critically thinking like what they are trying to basically ask, and then give it to them. So it would take time, and time is what you don't have in the last part of the exam, so I mean in the reading section. So that was a bit hard. So this is a comparison of IELTS and OET. So OET's fees is much higher than IELTS, for that I would say. And those who are writing PLAB, or PLAB is your aim, I would say I would prefer IELTS, because if your general English is okay, IELTS would be much cheaper for you, and you could go and get it easily. But for those who are going for USMLE, OET is your only option to get ECFMG certified. So do write OET. For those who are engineering students and want to do masters and want to write IELTS, I mean, don't join too many institutes, too many books, reading too many paragraphs and stuff. I would just say make conversations, speak in English for at least 2 to 3 weeks. That would be the best solution for your English improvement. I mean, my English, even if it's this way I'm speaking, even this English I learned was through speaking. I mean, we can learn plenty from school, we can have all the vocabulary in mind, but forming a sentence and able to be fluent and making a conversation and having an accent, having fluency, it all comes from speaking and practicing the language and making mistakes. The mistakes I make with grammar are worse than many of you if you start speaking. So that's how much you guys are talented, and I believe in you. So those who are preparing for IELTS, OET, or have an exam soon, I wish you all the best, and thank you for watching.